Hello and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to make Salvadoran beef soup. To start out, we are going to use, I'll just go through all the ingredients first and then piece by piece, because we'll kind of do some to start and then another stage with some more, so we'll just go little by little. But to start, I usually get 2 packages of beef shanks, so with the bone in there, and just a couple packages with some meat on them. I'm gonna have a couple carrots, an onion, a couple stalks of celery. We'll leave the leaves on. I do also get some stew meat just to put in there as well. This is a big package, so I'm probably only gonna use half of this because there's meat on the beef shanks as well. Some beef bouillon, tomatoes. I usually just use a couple, like Roma tomatoes, but these are some tiny little tomatoes from my garden, so I'm gonna use 6 because they are really small. They're almost like just a little bit bigger than a cherry tomato. A zucchini. Let's see. We have green pepper, some corn, a red cabbage. I have never used red cabbage. We always use green. However, when I'm filming this, it's during the COVID-19 pandemic, and there's always random things I cannot find at the grocery store, and I could not find green cabbage. So we are going to make it with red cabbage. And a huisquil is how they're called in El Salvador, and maybe some other countries too, but in the grocery stores here, they're usually called chayote squash. So just one of those. Some potatoes, any other veggies that you want to throw in. Like, I think we'll put some corn in there. I probably won't use all 4 of those. Just see how much we have room for. And then for other seasonings, I use mint. The recipe that I kind of follow says to use yerba buena, which I cannot find here. And so I Googled it just to see what it'd be similar to, and it said mint. Which my husband did not think was right, but I've been using mint and it turns out the way it should. So I think it is similar to mint. Parsley. My daughter's outside right now trying to see if we have any cilantro in the garden that hasn't gone to seed. And then I'll use fresh cilantro if we have some. If not, I do have some dried cilantro for emergencies. So I think that's pretty much all we use to get started. The first thing I'm going to do is cut this meat up, and then I'll separate this out, and then I'm going to put that in my pot, cover it with water, and boil until it starts to foam. So I'll show that step in a minute here. Okay, I've cut all the meat off the bones and then just have the little bone left that we're going to put inside to boil with the soup. And then I put in a pound of stew meat as well, just so there's some extra meat in there. And we're going to cover it with water, probably about 3 liters of water. That's what the recipe that I usually follow says to do, but mainly just to cover it. I'll link the recipe below. It is in Spanish, so but I'll have it there just in case if anybody wants to look at it. So I have it covered there. Let's see, maybe I'll put in a little more water. Now I'm just going to let it boil until it starts to get foamy, and then we'll go on with the next step. I forgot to mention at this stage you do want to cover it and just leave a little crack for some air to come out, so for steam to come out. So partially covered, and I have it on high heat. Our meat has been boiling for a while and it is now foamy. In case you were wondering what that looks like when it gets foamy, this is it. It's just like, I think the fat foaming on the top. So the meat's starting to cook underneath, and we are going to put in now the tomatoes, onions, celery, green pepper, and some herbs. Oh, and some garlic. So I'm going to put these in now, and some garlic and herbs, which I'll show here as well. Okay, so now I got my garlic. You can do 1 garlic clove, or I just have this already cut garlic, so I'll do like a little scoop of garlic. And then I have all the veggies in here. I think I mentioned before, when I cut up the celery, I leave the leaves on it and cut those up to put in too. And then we're gonna put in some different seasoning. We're gonna start with a little bit of beef bouillon. You can use this powder one or a different kind if you want. To start, let's do, a scoop or 2. And then the other herbs I just sprinkle in there. I don't really measure. And then later I'll just taste it and see, does it taste good or does it taste like it needs more of something? So we'll sprinkle in some parsley, maybe like a teaspoon. Same with the mint, maybe a teaspoon. And then we did not have much fresh cilantro in the garden, so I am using this cilantro. And then we'll just give it a stir. And we'll let it cook for about 45 minutes. And if you feel like you want to put in more of anything, go ahead, but I'll just leave it like this for now. And then after the 45 minutes, I'll taste it and see if it needs a little more of any of the seasonings. And then after that, we'll start adding our veggies based on the amount of time they take to cook. I moved my soup to a bigger pot. I didn't really add more soup into it, but I feel like the other one's going to be a close call when I put all the veggies in. So now it's been boiling about 45 more minutes. And I did put salt in also, because I didn't do that earlier, so I put in maybe like a couple teaspoons of salt, and then I'll taste it some more later, and then put, probably more in. My family likes a lot of salt, so I'll probably put more in after that. And then now I'm going to put in the carrots and let them cook for a little bit, and then after carrots I will put huisquil and potatoes, then corn, then zucchini and cabbage. I cut up the huisquil and the potatoes, and now I'm going to add that and cook for about 15 minutes. Now our potatoes and huisquil have been cooking for a little while, maybe 10 minutes or so, and I'm going to put in the corn and cook that for 5 to 10 minutes. Towards the end of cooking that, I am going to put in the cabbage and the zucchini. And I have been stopping every once in a while and tasting it and adding a little bit more seasoning here and there. Like I put in a little more salt, a little more beef broth, but just stop and taste it and see what you like. And I did have to add a little bit more water because I thought we'd probably need a little more water for how much veggies we have. So especially if you add more water, you want to taste it again, and then add more seasoning if you need to. So I added my zucchini and purple cabbage and cooked it for a little while longer. And now it is done. Everything's tender and ready to go. And I'm making some tortillas to have along with it. And it's all done. It turned out just fine with the red cabbage too. So that's a good substitute if you can't find green cabbage. So thanks for watching, and everybody take care.